how not to deal with pain in your life. David medicated his pain. And this is one of the things that we do when we don't deal with pain properly. We medicate it. Not everyone medicates, but a lot of people do. Sex, food, drugs, alcohol, gambling, all those things are just ways that we can make the pain go away for the period of time that we're doing those things. And in David's case, David had sex problems. He did. He had many wives. And one day he saw Bathsheba, another man's wife, and he took her to be with him and then killed her husband to cover it up. He had issues, and we know that David had pain. And you say, well, what was David's pain? Remember, Samuel the prophet was told by God to go to Jesse's house and to anoint the king. David was the 8th son of Jesse, the youngest son of Jesse. And when Samuel the prophet came to Jesse's house, David was the only son that he did not bring before Samuel, but he left him in the sheep pen. And when all the other brothers had come before Samuel, Samuel said, none of these are the guy. Do you have another son? He said, well, there's David. His father didn't believe in him. And being the youngest of 8, he probably didn't get much of his father. And so David had this pain in his life that he was medicating. And let me say this about medicating or addictive behavior, because that's really what it is the issue is never the issue. When you're dealing with alcoholism or drug addiction or food addiction or gambling addictions or sex addictions or anything, the issue is never the issue. To an alcoholic, alcohol is not the issue, pain's the issue. We're dealing with pain. And when a person goes to Alcoholics Anonymous, and they've helped millions of people break alcohol addictions, but when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous and they have their 12 steps, the first step is fess up. Start talking about that thing you won't talk about. See, every time there's pain in our life, the devil puts fear and shame around it, so we'll keep it in the darkness. Fear and shame. We don't want to talk about it. It hurts too much. We're too ashamed of it or whatever. But understand this, anything in the darkness is in the devil's domain because he's the prince of darkness. Whatever's in the light belongs to God because he's the God of all light. So the devil's greatest interest in our lives is to keep pain there by putting fear and shame or whatever it is upon that thing, or just secrecy. The hallmark of every dysfunctional family is secrecy and not talking. But functional families talk and they process things and they get things out into the light. So you go to Alcoholics Anonymous and they say fess up, and they have these t-shirts that say denial is not a river in Egypt. Because almost every alcoholic lives in denial. Drug addicts, whatever it is. You're not dealing with your pain, you're living in denial, and you're medicating. And every moment that I'm under the effects of the alcohol or the drugs or the gambling or the shopping or the food or whatever it is, during that period of time the pain goes away. But as soon as I finish, it comes back. Because you didn't solve it, you just medicated it for that period of time. Life doesn't form me, my response to life forms me. And I can make right decisions, but it always begins with responsibility rather than blame transfer. Remember when Adam and Eve sinned and God came up to Adam and said, what is this that you've done? And he said, that woman you gave me? He went to Eve and said, what is this that you've done? She said, the devil made me do it. Well, come on. They were grown-ups. They could have taken the right response, but instead they blamed each other. Listen, regardless of what other people have done to me, that's fine. I take responsibility for my own behavior. I'm going to take responsibility for what God tells me to do. We may be able to believe that God forgives us and He'll forgive anything that we've done. But sometimes we don't forgive ourselves. Regret is one of the greatest things the devil uses to cause misery in our lives. Just regret. Because Jesus died for me on the cross, I don't have to live with regret. Karen and I almost divorced. I was a horrible, dominant, verbally abusive husband. And God now uses that to heal millions of people around the world. The greatest failures, the greatest scars in your life, turn to God, can become the greatest glory to God in your life. But the devil wants you to live in regret and not live in victory. Don't live in regret. Give yourself mercy. Give yourself a little bit of mercy. And then give that mercy to other people.